So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the fundamentals of our technique and basically clarifying how we're going to be approaching the drum and everything for this season. So let's just get right into it. Step one, you're going to want to relax your shoulders and have your posture be as tall as you possibly can. When we actually get into the marching section of it, we're going to be keeping our heads up, making our head as tall as we possibly can, but the biggest tenet of this is you have to relax these shoulders. Your shoulders can't really leave this position when you're drumming. Otherwise, you're going to be creating unnecessary tension and it's just going to become cumbersome for you. So step two, we're going to start talking about American grip. And that's kind of what we use, matched American grip, and that's what we're going to be using for this season. So let's kind of break that down a little bit. So essentially for American grip, you're going to have two separate checkpoints. The first one is going to be right about here, the first segment of your index finger. And the second one is going to be right about here. I don't know if everyone has this line in their hand, but that's kind of what I use to line my stick up, and you're going to have about 1 inch of the stick out of the bottom of your hand. So essentially, once you have those two checkpoints right here, you just wrap your fingers around the stick, and that's the fundamental part of the American grip. Now, another thing about American grip you have to keep in mind, American grip is kind of a mixture of two different ones. It's a medium ground between the French grip and the German grip. French grip is thumbs on top. German grip is extended all the way out here. American grip is right in the middle, and it's basically a 45-degree angle wrist turn. So you don't want it to be turned out, don't want to be too turned in. Find that nice sweet spot right about there. Alrighty, so now that we have the grip down pretty much, let's talk about our set position. Our set position is going to be right about here, and I'll explain exactly what I want from this in just a few seconds. Now, a good trick to use for our set position is basically if you put two fingers on the edge of a drum, your drumstick should rest right on top of that, and both sides should be evenly in line, about 2 fingers off of the drum. Now, the final thing I want to talk about in regards to our technique and how we approach the drum is we're going to be initiating from the wrist, and basically what that means, our stick is going to be rotating around our wrist. You don't want to lift your arm as you play because that'd be initiating from the arm, obviously. So this type of thing, you want to get rid of. This arm, you should be able to put your stick right here and drum and have very little resistance. So initiate from the wrist. You can also initiate from the fingers, which is also wrong for our technique. As you'll see, I'm using my fingers way too much. I'm getting this type of thing going on. Looks a little sloppy. We want to mitigate that as much as possible and initiate from the wrist. Alrighty, now that we've went over the technique and our approach to drumming a little bit, let's get into some music. I'm going to be providing some pedagogical little things and charts and music to follow along as we go. So first off, let's start with the height chart. And basically what that is referring to is the literal height that your stick is at as you're playing. So you'll see 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 3 inches is right about here. 6, 9, 12, and 15 right around full extension. Now furthermore, let's talk about stroke types, because this is going to be really important while we're drumming as well. So we have 4 different stroke types: legato, downstroke, tap, and upstroke. So a legato stroke basically means you start up and you end up. So all these are legato strokes. Pretty simple. Downstroke, it's pretty much in the name. You start up, but you end down. So these, all downstrokes. A tap, you start down and you end down. And an upstroke, you start down and you end up. Now, I'll be talking about how to implement that in just a little bit, but let me give you an exercise for the legato stroke. So we call this 8-8-16 because essentially you're doing 8 on one hand, 8 on one hand, 16 on one hand, 8 on one hand, 8 on one hand, 16 on one hand. So let me just give you a demonstration of that and you can follow along. Alrighty, now the final thing I'm going to show you, and this is your last warm-up, I call it the stroke type exercise, and essentially what it's doing is focusing on all 4 stroke types. So let me kind of break this down for you. It's alternating the entire time, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. But like I said, what this is focusing on is the stroke types. So you're going to have a legato stroke and a legato stroke. 2 legato strokes, you start up, end up. 2 down strokes, start up, end down. 2 taps, start down, end down. And then 2 upstrokes, start low, end up. And you repeat that. So legato, legato, downstroke, downstroke, tap, tap, upstroke, upstroke. So let's hear that in actual context.